I get into hospital, they hook me up to the machines. Through this whole process, that's the only time I ever thought I was going to die. And I'll never forget their faces and the sound of that machine going at 265 beats per minute.
Shorty's done it again. He might be small in stature, but he's having a big presence out on that field today. He's taken an old school style one-day century. A splendid performance.
Thought about how to sit down before.
Yeah.
James, you were playing men's cricket age 12. You were the youngest Leicestershire player to score a century, youngest to score a double century, youngest to reach 1,000 championship runs. You've captained the England Lions and the England senior team. You played 27 one-day internationals, 7 test matches, including a century against Australia. So tell me a little bit about your background that got you to reach those heights in a professional sport.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to go to a couple of great schools, and along that journey I've had some amazing mentors, and whether it's probably something that we don't speak enough about in sport or business. It's vital that you have those people that guide you and point you in the right direction, and also probably beat you down a little bit if you get a bit giddy, and also lift you up when you're down. So I was very lucky to have a great foundation, lovely parents that gave me so many good opportunities, but that with those opportunities surrounded me with great people that helped me along my journey. So that came about from being from a very sporty background, albeit not necessarily ball sports. Part of my dad did, he signed a professional contract with, or was just about to sign a professional contract with Sheffield United football before becoming a jockey. And my mum and all my cousins, I'm the only boy in the family, so all my cousins have rode for Great Britain in eventing with junior stuff. I rode up until I was 17, 18, so horses are a big part of my family, not so much ball sports, so it's really intriguing how I've gone down the ball sports direction, probably because I wanted a bit more glory and showing off with the ball at my feet or in my hand in rugby or batting in cricket. Yeah, very lucky from a young age to be pushed in the right directions by my parents and those mentors along my way. That's got me to where I got to in the game.
So we've got a few items that you've brought us from home here. Just talk us through a couple of these things. This one in particular intrigues me. So what's this, and what are the numbers on the side? What they represent?
Yeah, this is kind of a lovely little bit of almost memorabilia, because there was a dinner in London where we all got invited to. Obviously this is my name and this is the crest itself, and these numbers on the side are 653 is my test number, and then 222 is my ODI number, and those that have played T20 cricket would have another number underneath. So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool touch. It's very fancy. It's a nice little touch being presented with that. And then this one is probably the most special one. This is my test cap. Again, 653 is the number, and this is my test cap that I wore when I played those 7 test matches. Unfortunately, not as many as I wanted, but this is a pretty cool cap.
So as a professional cricketer, obviously famous for footwork, quick hands, when you cross that over into golf, what are the crossovers that you can benefit from?
Well, I think the similarities between cricket and golf is they're both technical sports and they're both very mental sports. And my mind in cricket definitely helped me. Technically, I was decent, but I would say more efficient than pretty.
Right.
And that's what I love about golf, because it doesn't matter how, it's just how many, just like cricket. They're obviously, even though they're both technical sports, they're both quite different in terms of cricket, it's bent and into, like bent front knee and into here, whereas golf, let's just say driver, it's straight and slightly off it, even though obviously you shift back into it, but not like cricket. So to start with, Obviously, a lot of balls were going over extra cover in golf, but having had lots of lessons to begin with, it definitely really helped me understand the fundamentals. And just like cricket, it's important to, when you first start, to get the basics, as well as hitting the ball as hard as you can. That's really important.
And I guess so. The other question is, what's the biggest difference that I would see is that golf's stationary ball, stationary target, whereas in, I don't know what you've got, point whatever it is of a second to react to a ball coming into you. How do you sort of mentally? How do you change that sort of mindset?
Yeah, it's very different, and to the extent that, so when you're, let's say MCG, first game of the World Cup, England, Australia, mega, 100,000 people at the stadium watching, obviously millions on TV, and it's really loud, but you don't hear anything. So that's one thing. So 100,000 people, you don't really hear anything because you're so in tune with yourself and what you're doing, you're in the moment. Whereas golf, it's so quiet, so you hear everything and you see everything. It's amazing. So I'm terrible at being put off by shadows. I'm always looking at my shadow when obviously I should be looking at the ball, or I hear somebody drop a club or talking in my backswing. It's amazing how different you pick up different things from cricket to golf. So that's a real good challenge in itself.
I think what's special to me from my point of view as a very much an amateur at all of the sports I've ever tried my hand at is that you're only the 222nd person of all time to represent England at that level. That's something that must be really special.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it sounds like 222 or 223rd player to play. That sounds quite a lot to me, and like especially 653 players to play. But it's really not in the grand scheme of things. How long Test cricket and ODI cricket have been going. So yeah, it's a pretty cool achievement. Yeah, and something that you work so hard for, and that's why having finished, it hurts even more because you know all the work and all the sacrifices that everybody else has made to get you there, and to not do it anymore, that's probably hurts the most. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to have done it.
It's a good time to ask the question that what is it about golf? Like why do you come back and do this time and time again? I mean, obviously this is a great day to ask that question.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Golf has changed my life massively because when I lost cricket and I couldn't exercise and I couldn't, to a certain extent, and I didn't have that buzz, I didn't have that competitive feeling, that's where golf came into my life. And when I got ill, when I was in my hospital bed and the doctor said, you can't exercise, you can't do this, you can't do that, my life that I know it is over, he goes, but you can play golf. And I'm like,
and
I swore at him, and I was 26, and I go, not a chance I'm playing golf, that's what my dad does, basically. And then my wife was like, just give it a go. She knows what I'm like, so I gave it a go, obviously, super competitive, fell in love with it straight away, got on the range early on, was on the mats, on the AstroTurf, and I thought, God, I'm going to be a pro in no time. This is easy. And then like the week later, I got on the course and I was so embarrassed because I was fatting it, I was thinning it, the ball was going right, left. And I thought, I'm a professional sportsman. This should not be happening. And I'm obviously super competitive and I refused to play with anybody other than the 3 guys that I learnt with, and they were professional cricketers. And I would only play on the same course until I got better. And then I just fell in love with it, and it's changed my life. It's great exercise for me. It's great for your mental space, being out in the wilderness like this, especially when you're looking for balls like I do. It's brilliant. There's so many great things about it for your mental health, your well-being, and also great exercise for somebody like me.
And what's this bat?
Yeah, so this bat actually is one of my favorites of all time. It's a little bit battered and bruised, but it is a beautiful, grey nickels, like Australian actually grey nickels, and they don't make them as big as this anymore because they have to fit for a gauge now, so they're not allowed to be as big. But this was a hell of a bat that I got 100 with against Australia and some of my highest test scores. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful bat.
So talking of 100 against Australia, presumably that's one of your career highlights. Is that what else would stick out from your playing days?
Yeah, 100 against Australia was pretty cool. 98 not out at the MCG, first game of the World Cup, 100,000 people watching, was pretty cool. It's always nice to score runs against Australia. Especially when you don't initially, they let you have it and they let you know that you haven't scored many. So to have done well against Australia, probably one of the better, especially when I was playing, probably one of the better sides in the world, and I scored quite a few against India, which was nice. But anytime you win trophies or you're involved in a series win is brilliant. So I was very lucky to win the T20 with Leicester, the one-day stuff with Notts, and then ODI and Test series with England. That one, the last one that I played in against South Africa, when we won 2-1 against South Africa, and South Africa were the #1 side in the world, that was an awesome win. And it's great when you win full stop, but it means that little bit more, especially as a professional sportsman, when you make a difference in that series. And I did with the bat, but what most people remember is me at short leg taking some really good catches. And that was pretty cool to have an impact in the game and change the momentum of the game when certainly people don't expect you to is really cool.
So just for sort of the non-avid cricket fans that might be watching this, explain what short leg means and why that's sort of not necessarily where most people want to feel.
Yeah, definitely not. It's obviously, it's so short leg. So say I'm the batsman here, short leg is this silly guy or girl with the helmet on very close to the batsman.
So when you say very close, it's
like the 5 yards away, very close. And if it hits you, it's going to hurt. So you need a little bit of bravery / stupidity to go in there, and it's just reflex catches. And that's why they look even better when you take those catches. And I was very fortunate to take a few good ones in that series, and they looked cool on TV. So that's the main thing. But it had a massive impact in the series, and that was actually, everybody always talks about 100 against Australia, the best feeling ever. And it is, the elation's brilliant, and that's all you've ever worked for those moments to win games and change games. But actually the best feeling I've ever had on a cricket field is taking those catches. And I'm very fortunate that was one of my last things I ever did. Even though it wasn't with a bat in hand, those moments, that inner elation and the inner feeling that you feel is really cool.
We get to April 2016, and you're playing or you're due to be playing a match at Cambridge. What happened?
Yeah, so April 2016 was a mad day, and I'll cut a very long story short, but it started in the warm-ups. First game of the season, weirdly, it was against the students at Cambridge. And it's always the first kind of introduction to the season to get you going. And I thought, I was in the warm-ups, I thought, this is weird, like severe anxiety. I shouldn't be feeling that against the students. I should be very confident, expecting to score runs. Having just come back from a England tour on the peak of my powers, I'm cementing my spot in the tests and the ODIs. I'm in a great place, living my best life. And then I get to Cambridge for second day actually at Cambridge of that match. And I'm like, this is bizarre. I don't know why I'm so nervous. My heart, I can physically see it beating through my chest, and that's no exaggeration. It's going a million miles an hour. I can see it beating through my chest. I tell one of the other players and say how much of strife I'm in with my heart, basically, / anxious, because that's all I kind of know. When your heart goes mental, you kind of put it towards being anxious. I go to the bathroom, I try and be sick because now I'm feeling really poorly and I'm thinking I'm going to pass out. And through this whole process, that's the only time I ever thought I was going to die, and I wanted to pass out. The red herring was, obviously I was ill, really ill. My heart's beating through my shirt. The physio gave me a sugary drink, and I thought I felt better after the sugary drink. So maybe it's low blood sugar or I've got a virus. So long story short, we sorted a doctor's appointment back in Nottingham for 6 p.m. So I trekked back to Nottingham. The overseas drives me back. Jackson Bird, Australian international, drives me back. It was a very awkward conversation on the way home. Me like in the fetal position in the car, the passenger seat, making no conversation whatsoever, like quite literally dying in the car seat. And then I get home, curl up on the sofa. The whole sofa is vibrating with my heartbeat. And I'm feeling really ill. My shoulder's killing me, which is obviously the sign of having a heart attack. I'm turning grey, I'm freezing cold. I crawl upstairs because I can't walk now. I'm sick all over the place upstairs. I get in bed in the fetal position, I ring the doctor, and I explain I'm freezing cold, I'm changing colour, I'm being sick, I can't physically walk, my shoulder is killing me, so I'm massaging it. What shall I do? And he goes, obviously with the symptoms, don't wait for an ambulance, get yourself straight to hospital. My mum drove me, my wife drove me in the car. She put me in the back with a blanket because I'm freezing cold. I get into hospital, they hook me up to the machines, and I'll never forget their faces, and the sound of that machine going at 265 beats per minute was wild. And if anybody's seen Casualty, which I love Casualty, that's where all the action happens, when they plug me into the machines and you see doctors running around because they realize something's going seriously wrong with my body. And that was when I realized that my life was going to change forever. They told me I'd had a heart attack. I officially hadn't had a heart attack, but all the signs were showing that I had. And with what I was going through for such a long period of time, I'd done the equivalent of 6 to 7 marathons on the bounce, non-stop. And it's not just 265 beats per minute going like that, it's also out of rhythm as well. So you're usually meant to pass out after 10 minutes of going through that. So I was very lucky for the stars to align that allowed me to survive what I went through, because I wasn't meant to. And I think 20%, only, well, 80% of people die when it presents.
So just, sorry to re-emphasize that, in 80%, so 4 out of 5 times, this is only picked up after the person's already died.
So 80% of these cases are found in post-mortem. So I was very fortunate to survive, whether all the stars aligned, and I was incredibly fit, because I always prided myself on being incredibly fit. But also with this condition, that's not necessarily a good thing, because exercise accelerates this condition, so it makes it worse. So that was obviously an awful time. I was in hospital for the next 3 weeks. I had minor procedures, then I had a major operation a few weeks later, to have a defibrillator put inside me with wires screwed into the bottom of my heart. I initially didn't want that, because a bit of me thought I didn't need it, but you quickly realize how ill you are when that defib goes off 3 weeks later, because you have another cardiac arrest of sorts, and it's gone off twice.
So what happens when a defib goes off? Presumably you don't know it's about to happen.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to happen, and it basically shocks you and resets your heart, and it actually blasted me back a metre or so. For some people it knocks them out, but for me it didn't, and it's the most unbelievable sensation. It all happens far too fast, but when you kind of come back around and you understand, you realise what's happened, and then it's quite scary, because that first time it happened, I thought I was okay, not too bad, not too ill. But then I realised that I was poorly, really ill. And for the next 6 months, from the original attack that I had in Cambridge and for the preceding however long, because the attack was so bad and long, I couldn't physically walk for a week. For the next 6 months, I kind of had no circulation. I was cold. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs for 6 months without thinking I was going to have another heart attack. I was really, really ill. And it was the first time in my life I'd been scared. It was the first time in my life I was a bit vulnerable, and I wasn't invincible. And it was a massive ego dent for a professional cricketer that was living his best life. When you're scared and you can't do what you love anymore, it's a horrible place to be. But it soon made me into a better person. It made me grow up a little bit and taught me so many amazing things.
What is it about golf? Obviously, the physical side, when you're walking the golf course, is clear. Why is it important from a mental point of view?
I think you're getting out into the fresh air. I think exercise, everybody knows it has a positive link on your mental health, unless you're playing incredibly badly, and sometimes that hurts me. But it's so good just getting out. One, gets those competitive juices flowing if you want to be competitive, but you don't have to. So you can have as much fun as you want. You can take it as seriously as you want. You can not. You meet so many different people as well. That's what I've loved with the different events I play. Even just the roll-ups on a Saturday or a Thursday or a Tuesday at your local club, you meet so many new, nice people. And like I said, you can be competitive, you can not. The only time I used to really see my dad was when I was on a cricket field and he'd be in the stands. After the game, I'd say hi, but now I get to play golf with my dad. It's for all ages. You can be incredibly good, but somebody that's pretty poor, but the handicap system allows them to beat you. So it really does work. And just getting out in the fresh air, getting away from everything, all the stresses of work, business, family life, you get to get away from it all on the course. And that's why golf is so good for so many different people.
So you, from starting to play golf to scratch, was how long?
So starting to play, after all my operations and like the wires in my heart, I couldn't move my arms for a few months above my shoulders, so I couldn't swing probably until October, September, October of 2016. So that's when I took up golf. And then it took me 3.5 years from never playing golf to getting to scratch, and then 4.5 years plus 3. Like I said, not that I'm competitive or anything, but I love to learn and I love to challenge myself. So I just wanted to see how good I can get, and it's been a brilliant journey, and golf has definitely changed my life.
So you're out there today with your new Stuart Golf Q Follow. You've been a user for a couple of years now already, I think. What is it about the trolley that helps you play golf?
I love the Q Follow because it gives me so many options. It allows me to hold it if I want, but it also allows me to have a heavy flex towards my mates and just steer it to, I'm going to the green and they're having to their trolley around the green whilst I'm just steering mine to the next tee, which is quite cool. But when I'm having a conversation, I can just put the remote in my pocket and it can just follow me, and I can just have a casual conversation walking down the fairway with my mates. It also is great because I've got a bad back, and when you're pushing your trolley the whole time, you're in a generally poor posture. So it's very nice for me just to let it cruise, either follow behind me or I can direct it around the course. And it gives you so many options and flexibility whilst you're on the golf course. It's brilliant. It's a great addition to my golf game.
Obviously, you've been through an enormous life-altering medical condition. If there are other people out there that are watching that are they've had some bad news, or they're worried about something, or something has happened and life has changed dramatically, what would you say to them on how you might deal with that from a mental point of view?
That's a really good question. I think it's vitally important that you always think about the things that you can do, not what you can't, and think forward and not back. And not enjoy, but embrace the challenges that are ahead, and be willing to learn from everything. I know it might be absolutely awful what's happened, but how can we look forward and move forward? So I would advise them to embrace challenge and embrace change, and think about the things that we can do and not what we can't, and be as positive as possible. And just also, number one would be surround yourself with good people as well, and trust. Have 1 or 2 allies next to you that you can unload and speak to in confidence, because you might be battling with something physically or mentally, but you don't want to battle with yourself by keeping everything inside. So it's really nice, and it really does help, and it changed things for me massively by talking and being open about things.
One of the other things that I've seen, or quotes I've seen attributed to you before, is about a love of learning, and you never know when you can learn something. Is that pertinent to this point as well?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the points I was getting at, is just embrace change and challenge, and being willing to learn at every opportunity. And it was the same with my cricket. Everything that I learned from cricket has really helped me when I've really needed it in my life. And I was a big believer in getting as many experiences under my belt in cricket, because you never know when you can pick up something and learn something to help me in the next game. And it's the same with life. Get as many experiences under your belt, and just be open-minded and be willing to learn from every different experience, good or bad, to help you move forward and have a better life moving forward.
James, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me.